What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. So today I want to help you guys to do something that we actually started to do in a video prior, and that is to fill up these shirt sleeves, right? We want to talk about, as we've done in the past, how to fill them up, not just from the front here by doing the right exercises to widen out those biceps, but actually almost more importantly, from the back. You see, because filling out the shirt sleeves comes down to having bigger triceps, because your triceps are going to take up a lot of the girth inside that sleeve. And as you can see here, there's a difference between Jesse and I in terms of filling up those shirt sleeves. Now, Jesse, our beloved Jesse, does have some pretty damn impressive triceps when viewed from the side. And that is because the lateral head, one of the three heads of the triceps, is really developed pretty well. But when you creep around here to the back, you start to see some of those inadequacies. I'm not picking on him, we're talking about reality here, and that is the long head and the medial head, which actually plays an important role in filling out those shirt sleeves, isn't necessarily developed as much. And if you have the same issue as he does, then I want to make sure we fix that today. Now, we talk about the triceps, and I talked about one head of the triceps, but it really takes us to have an understanding of the muscle itself to get a better appreciation for the attack plan that we're going to use to get at it. And that is, we want to look at this muscle, and you can see that from the back here, the real meat of the triceps is coming from this area right here, and that's the long head. The long head is going to occupy 2/3 of the 2/3 of the size of the arm, right? When people talk about the triceps occupying 2/3 of the size of the arm, well, 2/3 of that's going to come from the long head. We need to make sure that we fill that out and train it the right way. I'm going to show you 3 exercises here to do that. And then, of course, this medial head, the one that kind of doesn't get much attention. It certainly is the smallest area, but its importance in how you train it is often overlooked. And when you do focus on how to train it right, things will start to happen really, really well in helping you to fill out those sleeves and widen out those triceps. So let's go back to the long head. First of all, guys, I think people maybe make a mistake here. We always hear how to activate the long head, we need to do something with our arms overhead. And the origin of this talk is that this head of the triceps is the only one to cross the shoulder joint and attach on the shoulder, as you see here. Okay, great. That's great. That means if you put your arm up overhead, you're going to place that head of the triceps on stretch, favorably hitting it over the other 2 heads that don't cross the shoulder joint. But that's only half the equation, guys. The full range of motion will require that in order to fully contract that head of the triceps, you need to go the entire opposite direction, not just overhead, but down and back behind your body into extension, right? To get that arm and that shoulder into extension. So if you want to adequately hit this, you've got to do 2 exercises. The first one's going to place it up overhead, and that is my favorite of all time, and that is this lying tricep extension. I'm using here the easy curl bar. One of the things I always focus on when I do this is to not allow the bar to ever come fully straight up over my head, because I'm taking the tension off of the triceps, or a significant amount of the tension off my triceps. To enhance that, I want to make sure my arm stays angled backwards the entire time. But I do this, and when I drop down to the bottom to get that extra stretch, I allow the upper arm from here to here to drop a little bit further back down towards the bench to just give me a little bit more of that shoulder flexion, which is going to stretch that long head of the tricep out a little bit more. It's these little details that add up and make a big difference, especially when you're looking for size in a faster manner than if you're just doing these the way you normally would. Now we go to the other side of it, though. We have to make sure we fully shorten that tricep. So again, for me here, I want to pick an exercise that allows me to do that. And this is the drag pushdown. The drag pushdown is a variation of the pushdown that keeps the elbow as far back throughout the entire pushdown as possible, meaning back into extension, that arm back into extension throughout the entire exercise, so that we can get that fully contracted and fully squeezed and shortened long head of the triceps. Nothing else changes, it's just I'm trying to keep that bar as tight to my body as possible, literally dragging it down the front of my torso on every single rep. You will feel the difference immediately if you take your elbows and let them drift out in front of you as you normally would, and if you then perform them with your elbows back as far as you possibly can. The activation of the long head and that contraction is going to increase measurably. Now, here's something if you're short on time. If you want to have sort of a combo exercise, you can do what I'm doing here with these 2 dumbbells. You put them up overhead to perform a dumbbell overhead extension. Again, this is good if you keep your elbows out in front of your body instead of forcing them out to the side. It's a little bit safer position for your shoulders in general. But after I get them up overhead, I then just bend forward and turn them right back into one sequential kickback. Now, the one area you might run into some troubles here is that your ability to handle weight on the kickback is significantly less than what you can handle potentially on the overhead extension. In this case, guys, just double or triple up on the reps that you do overhead. So in other words, every 1 rep of a kickback will be partnered off with 3 reps of the overhead extension. So you can fatigue on that a little bit faster and kind of equate the 2 exercises. The fact is, you're still able to go from that overhead stretch position and then down right into that fully extended arm behind the body into extension, fully shortened long head of the triceps. Now we got to move on to that medial head. And this is again the part that I think people sort of overlook, because yes, it is a small area and you can actually see it here on the bottom of your elbow when you fully extend your arm out like that. Tough to see here a little bit, but the fact is it's crossing the elbow and it's providing stability to the elbow, mostly in a fully extended elbow. And that's the key. If you want to get that medial head fully activated, you need to make sure you fully extend the elbow. And no matter what exercise you do, that head of the tricep is responsible for simply extending the elbow. You can do it on almost any exercise for the triceps because all of them are geared at extending the elbow. But whether or not you fully extend them is going to determine whether or not you fully activate and get the best activation of this medial head. So what could you do? Well, the first thing you could do here is a tricep pushdown. And again, this roll here of this exercise is just to extend the elbow. But you can see that this is where a lot of us will stop. It's not until I go from here to here that I actually fully contract the medial head of the tricep. So you want to make sure that on every single repetition, you are fully extending the elbow. We move on to the next exercise, which could be a bodyweight option like the diamond cutter push-up. Again, a lot of us will perform them to here, thinking, look, we're almost there. But I guarantee you there's a reason why your body is cutting off that last inch or two, because it's damn hard. When you add in, as you see me do right here, those extra couple inches, it changes the game in terms of the medial head of the tricep activation. It really makes it more difficult. But if you're trying to build this muscle up, you want to make it more difficult. You want to make it do more work. Now lastly, we can come up here with this last exercise, and this is a dumbbell press with the elbows tucked close to my sides, but I'm doing something a little bit unique here with the thumbs. I call this a thumbs up dumbbell press. I'm trying to actually make my thumbs point up and towards the sky as I come up. Why? Because I can actually reinforce the full elongation of the elbow by letting it kind of follow the thumbs. If I keep the thumbs going, I usually tend to keep the elbow going into full extension as well. So it's just a mechanism I use to enforce that full extension of the elbow. But you can see, once again, that it's really hitting this medial aspect of the elbow, the medial tricep. Now I will say something very interesting here. Powerlifters tend to have really well-developed medial triceps. Why? Because number one, for the loads that they're using and lifting, they need the stability. And this is the portion here of the triceps that provides the stability to the elbow joint because of that lockout. And secondly, because powerlifters are going to be judged based on whether they get that rep to full lockout, these guys are not coming short of that positioning. They're getting there on every single repetition, again, under heavy load. If you adopt the same principle from them and do this when you're doing them and stop cutting them short, you're going to quickly erase a problem that you already have. So guys, as you can see here, it doesn't take a big attack plan to do the right thing. It just takes the right attack plan to do the right thing when you're trying to widen out those triceps. And again, no matter which angle you're viewed at, I want you guys to look good. I want you guys to have confidence that you are filling those shirt sleeves, and you want to make sure you're applying the same principles we just covered here.